Greetings everybody and welcome back to the Home Slice. I'm coming to you live again from my front yard. New Zealand is still in a state of lockdown, and so I've had an opportunity to make several more videos than I would ordinarily make. Today we're going to do some testing of dual grit versus fine versus toothy or coarse edges. And I'm going to be doing that utilizing this BESS PT50A machine down here. But we'll kind of cover a little bit of an orientation of sorts first. So for those of you that didn't catch it, a BESS machine that runs some standardized monofilament line, the pressure that it takes to sever that line is a pretty accurate reflection of how sharp the apex of your sharpened edge is. The black Victorinox I've got here, and I've got it marked for where I'm going to do the testing, so the testing is always at the same spot. This was sharpened up to a 6,000 grit king stone and then stropped with some 0.5 micron silica and diamond. This one is dual grit, and it's sharpened to 250 grit on one side and 6,000 grit on the other. And this edge is a 600 grit metallic bonded diamond plate sharpened, and then of course all of them are stropped with a mixture of silica and diamond, and at about 0.5 micron. This is my everyday carry. All the edges are sharpened to about 20 degrees. This is CPM M4. So we're going to do a quick sort of test here before we get into everything. We're going to see how sharp each of those sharpening methods got them according to the BESS machine, and then we'll do a quick sort of demonstration with what that looks like on paper and paper towel so you can compare to your own results, and we'll go from there. Okay, well, I'll just make sure that you can really see the numbers that are read here on the BESS machine clearly. That looks good. So this CPM M4 edge will do first. This is my original dual grit method of the first knives that I sent to Pete and Cedric and Ada. 250 grit on one side, 6,000 grit on the other. This will just be a quick comparison of what this edge is like sharpness wise on a really technical carbon steel versus a really plain stainless steel. Now I've coated this one with a bit of oil because I looked at the videos on BESS and it looks like edges oxidize and they lose 10 to 15 grams off of their BESS score. So we'll check to make sure that we're ready here. And this is my ordinary dual grit edge, very fresh, unoxidized. I put probably about 20 minutes of sharpening into this edge. .180 is the number for that. That's sort of what you could expect from a relatively quick sharpening at a 20 degrees per side with the dual grit method. Let's check out 20 degrees per side on this Victorinox stainless steel. This will be interesting to see if it's better or worse. Here we go. Ooh, 111. That's better than the scalpel did. I suspect being very thin behind the edge might be affecting that. Now, hopefully you could see from the video at the beginning, but these each probably had about 7 or 8 minutes put into their sharpening. This is the 6,000 grit fine. 166. That sharpening time was short because they're relatively new edges, and it was consistent because I wanted to not put tons more work into any of the edges. This is the 600 grit with stropping. 201. It looks like the sharpening job that I did on my M4 didn't achieve quite as fine an apex as the sharpening job that I did on this Victorinox, which is very interesting. And of the three numbers, the dual grit got the lowest number, rating just slightly better than the carbon steel scalpel that I actually tested yesterday, which got 126 and 131 respectively. So from here, I'm going to test the fine knife first, and I'm going to start cutting the rope and then testing on the BESS machine at certain increments. So I'll test after the first 5 cuts, and then after that I'll go 15, 15, 15, 15, and just do 15 cuts on the rope and take a BESS measurement. I'm hoping that the numbers increase with some sort of regularity and they're not too scattered, and then we should have some data points we can plot. It's slicing very nicely. You can draw cut, easy peasy. I believe you can push cut. Yeah, a little hiccup there, but not bad. So that's how our 6,000 grit edge is doing. On our 600 grit, you can hear the sound is different. More of a hiss to it. I believe you can draw a cut. Let's find out. Yeah, hesitantly draw a cut. And I don't think that this will be capable of a push cut. Let's see. Oh no, it's doing okay. It's doing right. It's doing all right. Yeah, that's a equally hesitant push cut, but a push cut nonetheless. With our dual grit edge here, I don't anticipate that we'll have any problems with any of those styles of cut. Slicing is nice. Easy peasy. Draw cutting, no problem. Push cutting ought to be good as well. Yep, easily push cuts. When it comes to a held sheet of paper towel, our finely sharpened one is really difficult not to tear it with, but I would hesitate to call that possible not to tear with. It's wanting to tear. Definitely doesn't mind roughly slicing. Yeah, that's clean edge. I doubt it's gonna do a draw cut. I really doubt that. Come on. Yeah, it's not ever gonna do that. We check out our dual grit edges here on the 250 grit 6000. It's definitely slicing, no problem. Ironically, even though it did worse on the BESS measurement, the best slicer of this paper towel is actually the Spyderco Military. Yeah, interesting. We're going to cut until the rope is completely severed because I don't want to measure just an amount of passes, but an actual amount of work that the edge has done. So a number of fibers severed or work done. So I'm going to start with severing this 5 times and then do increments of 15 until it gets up about the 300 or 400 mark. I'll probably cut things off at the 400 BESS mark. I'm hoping that this 600 grit is less miserable. We will see. $3.99. Okay, so we'll cut that off at 20 cuts. Alrighty, let's try out the dual grit. $4.03. Alright, that is about the rate at which the Opinel blade that I sent Pete dulled. It did 125 before it ceased to cut paper effectively. What's up, guys? I'm just doing the editing, and I am gonna throw up a chart right here that I made on Google Sheets. Now, I will just say a disclaimer: if you have any sort of recommendations about testing, this video is very rough cut. Like, I've never done anything like this before, so if you have suggestions or want to point anything out that is inconsistent, I'm really open to hearing feedback. But this is a chart of how the BESS tests sort of presented the data. What I had hoped would happen is, I believe what has happened is that the BESS gives us a good idea of the apex width, and that the width on the dual grit edge sort of plateaus for quite a longer time. Now, I will say I'm not real confident about the finish on the fine edge, so I'm going to do some more tests with fine edges and superimpose them onto this chart. But anyway, here's a initial chart of the first set of data that I've got, and I will try to get this up on Patreon as soon as possible for my supporters to look at, and soon after that I will try to get this data out so everybody else can view it. Thanks for viewing. Bye.